Welcome to the Coalition of Scrubs, and yes, that was all of our collective natural voices singing.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Collection of Scruffs. I'm your host from the Deck to the White team, and in today's video we're going to recreate another 2015-2016 deck, of course. Since the Vanlist release I have been recreating those, with Burning Abyss being the most prominent one. And in today's is going to be Infernoid Burning Abyss. This was suggested by our friend Dank, because of course he was suggesting this. And I decided to build this. I haven't played Infernoid in my whole life, so I just know that Decathlon is the only card that you need, and just send a bunch of Infernoids to the graveyard. I don't know anything else. But I have been testing it on stream and offline also, and I actually kinda like this deck. I actually find this very funny, similar to Burning Abyss control, but you have different boards to make. In this case, you just have a different strategy, and of course we have just basically these two decks combined, so it is really awesome, the resources you can get and also the levels of play that you can get against different types of decks. It's really amazing. But without further ado, let's go with the deck profile just to see how it goes. Here we are with the old good old pilot or trusty boy Ido Pro. I will be staying here for a while probably. Not sure if I will be changing to Omega when it releases finally. I think it looks cool. I think they have some good interactions on Omega. But I like Ido Pro and I really enjoy playing here, so I don't know. I will think about that, but for now we're using Ido Pro still. But here it is, the deck list, of course. If someone doesn't know Infernoids, because they are vaguely known for some people that maybe just came to the game like 2 years ago, they basically are similar to Burning Abyss because they need to be in the graveyard. Difference is that Burning Abyss activate effects in the graveyard, while Infernoids, at least the two big monsters, the Viadi and Onunku, summon themselves from the graveyard by banishing Infernoid monsters from the hand or the graveyard. So for those of you who doesn't know how this works, basically you just middle everything because you want to summon either the Viadi or Onunku. And also they have a gimmick about levels. So for example, Onunku is level 10, the Viadi is level 9, the Tondel is 8, and so on and so on and so on. And the reason is that each one of these, from the level 2 to the level 10, asks you to not control more than 8 levels on the field or ranks. So for example, if you have an Utopia, for example, and you have Dante, you have 7 in the rank count basically, and you can still summon one Infernoid, but after that you cannot summon anymore because you have more than 8 levels or ranks, total levels or ranks, that's the word. So you have to be careful with that. And the big reason play these ratios is that the best two is obviously Onunku and the Viadi. One negates monster effects and the other one negates spell effects. One destroys all spells and the other one destroys all the monsters when summoned. So those are the biggest ones. From the level 8 to the level 2, they all do the same thing on the opponent's turn, banish a card in the opponent's graveyard, and they have different effects when special summon. And obviously the most important one probably is Decathlon. Decathlon is a level 1 tuner that when summoned
send an Infernoid monster from the deck to the graveyard as an effect and increase its level by that of the Infernoid monster, but also copies the effects. So it is really cool. And it's the only one that can be normal summon. So be careful with that. We also play in spells and traps, of course. Void Seer, the one-off because it's hilarious. Apocalypse, 2 copies. Imagination, 2 copies. And Banishment, 3 copies. All of these are continuous spells and traps. Same gimmick as probably True Draco. They have 2 effects. One to do one thing, and the other one requires them to send them to the graveyard. So be careful with that. Beast is probably the best one because it summons 3 or up to 3 Inferno monsters, ignoring summoning conditions, and the only requirement is that they all summon level 8. So, following the gimmick, that's really cool. And the cost is that you have to send 1 void spell from your hand or face up to the graveyard. So you have to have at least one of these, either in the hand or face up from on your field. And from our VA package, we're playing the most basic ratios: 3 Tour Guide, 2 Graff Tours here, 1 Leverage, 2 Parfa, and 2 Skarm. The most basic ratios here, basically. And we're playing the traps that we saw on Burning Abyss Control. You can find that in my channel. Check that out. We're using Dynamiscus, Karma Cut, and Trap Trick just to search your traps. And just to make it round to 50, we are going to play Effect Veiler. You can play Ash, probably. You can play another stuff, but I think Veiler is a good boy for this format. You can also change the setup for the traps. You can probably take out either Dynamiscus or Karma Cut for Pain Griffin. For our extra deck, we are actually playing something really interesting. First, the big boss monster of Infernoids as Tierra. It requires the Beati, Onunku, and 1 or more Infernoid monsters, so at least 3 materials. You summon that of Imagination. You have to not control any monster summoned from the extra deck, and your opponent has to control at least 1. But in any case, it gains effects equal to the monsters used to fusion summon it. Obviously, because of the effect of Imagination, you probably will use up until the 5, at least. So you will be sending 3 cards from the extra deck to the graveyard, and sending 3 cards from their the top 3 cards from the deck to the graveyard. So that's actually really cool. A good way to disrupt your opponent. Sometimes, not all the times. You have to be careful though, because your opponent is maybe playing the same package to counter Dogmatica, and that is Sentes. And you want to play Omega in this deck just because you can. Then we're playing any Burning Abyss basic lineup. 2 Dantes, 1 Beatrice, and 1 of the Fusion Dante. Just summon of the Beatrice if you really need to. And for the links, we are playing the same things that we use in Burning Abyss Control. Gravity Controller and IP Mascarena are the ones that you want to summon. This is in case you have the Seer under your Dante, and you can use the effect of Seer. And Mascarena is for the 2 card combo, so that's cool. Nightmares, you cannot afford to play without them. Access Code, Borreload, and Borrowed Sword. Your Auto Dragon is either Borrowed Dragon or probably a Tierra. If that Dragon doesn't negate something in your turn. Which is almost basically impossible, but it can happen. But anyways, that's going to be the deck. Let's check out the replays. First of all, against Trap Tricks, because we obviously play against Trap Tricks in every single game that we do. Anyways, we're going to start with set 1 because we can. And we're going to Veiler that thing, Marmelio. Because obviously that's an interruption and we cannot afford to make that happen. Here comes the Ecclesia. That's fine. You can add your Fleur de Lis or whatever you want to add. You're not going to have that on the field. Punishment probably. Yeah, continue playing. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go, baby. Let's go. He has or she has Fleur de Lis, but not the automatic monster to interrupt us, so that's fine. Imagination, we're going to make Tierra actually in this deck, and we sent 6. We're going to get bottomless, that's just fine, it doesn't matter. We just want the effect to mill and to do the generate stuff. The only way to out Serra is with Dentes, so of course. That's very important. We're going to summon the Biadi and our opponent scoops because he realizes that he's going to lose anyways, because the other thing that was coming was Onunku. And just attack, and I had the tour guide. I have a normal summon yet, so yeah, that was going to happen. So that is a GG. And the other matchup that I have is against Flip in Dangle Shinobi or Prediction Princesses. Yes, that thing. We're actually going to see the basic play here. Make a quick Dante. We are going second, so we put that in attack. And we send Farfa because of course we can send Farfa. And we are going to continue with our plays. We set up for the next turn. And when we refer to the next turn is the turn that our opponent has to play. We're going to summon the 6 and 2 Decatrons, of course. And he's going to set the level 9 bot. We're going to trap trick into Karma Cut. He's going to attack, that's fine. Banishment effect, we're going to banish the Tindangle. We are going to pass on that. Dante send 3 again. We have Graff Seer combo. Grab summon Farfa and Seer summon. Sorry. Grab summon something and Seer summon another thing just because we can. The Viati comes onto the field. We destroy every spell and trap, and we have a big monster lineup just to OTK our opponent here. So yeah, as you can see, this is a really cool, interesting deck. In less than 2 minutes of replay, you can actually OTK your opponent. So yeah, it is really fun. Of course, this was suggested from our Donkey Boy. This is a really old deck, old as frick actually, because this is when pick Infernoid and pick Burning Abyss was a thing. So of course it is. And it's cool to play these older formats actually. I think I like this. I didn't play when this was a thing actually. But now that I play this, I definitely, if it's possible for me anytime soon, I will actually build this in real life. Just because I think this is a really good idea. It is 50 cards, but it is really cool. So I really have to think about it. But yeah, this is my suggestion. If you don't want to play Control BA or BA PK, because those are the two Burning Abyss decks that the community is approving for some reason, play Infernoid BA. It's a really fun deck. It requires you to think actually. It's not just summon Rusty Bardish and set 7 spells and traps and make Dragoon. No. It is actually a little bit more think about what you're doing, because you have to be focusing on the levels that you have on the field. So yeah, this is actually a really fun deck to play. And yeah, there's nothing more for me to say about this. Thank you very much for watching. Please follow me on my social media. Follow all of the Collection of Scrolls members actually, because they all put an incredible amount of work on these videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for spending your time with me and with the collection, and we see on the next one. Adios.